Welcome to you. How's it going today? That's always helpful to know. So this will be an interesting matchup. Like it's top four of the Champions League. These guys are both have won a bunch of games to get to this point, but have also have some limited deck options. They've all the Champions League. Once you play a deck archetype, it's out. So they can't repeat things. They've got to stick with and play through what they have. So we've got Matthew Harrison, trainer, MHT, on Diplomatic Mission to Alderaan, or Diplo, and then Batmouse on Revenge of the Sith Vader. Yeah. Especially having seen both decks, and I don't normally look at deck lists ahead of time. Dan and I have joked about that when I like just reacting to things, but nothing in either deck list was super shocking. It's going to be important for Anthony, I think, to prioritize getting his first strike and aggressively battling Matt's guys off table. Like Matt's objective to stay flipped, he's got to be controlling sites. He's got to control a site all the time. And if Anthony can keep him off that and flip him back and keep him from retrieving and keep him from adding to battle destinies, he's got a chance. I think Matt's favored here, but I don't think Anthony's out of it.
Okay, I got word they couldn't hear me. Can you guys hear me now?
If you're in Streamlabs, can I go through and make sure all the mics are turned on the right way?
Yeah, no, I think we're good. How
Okay,
about now?
perfect.
Is it? My volume was down a little bit, and I tested everything earlier. It was working fine, and somehow Streamlabs changed my input to not my microphone. So I was talking,
Yeah.
and it couldn't hear me. Anyway, the long and short of it is, I was saying we were talking through the decks they played previously, and I was saying how Matt picked Hiko specifically, thinking most of Anthony's best Dark Jedi decks were used, and Rots in particular has a smaller character pool. So for instance, I lost with Rots against Zero Hour to Dan in Game 8 of Worlds, and I just couldn't draw characters. And so, like, depending on how Anthony's draw is, that will really dictate it.
Agreed. And I think it's going to take Anthony getting not just a good draw, but I think he's going to have to prioritize and play it correctly. But at the same time, like Matt also has to get a couple things going right for him.
Agreed.
If Anthony can just take over Tatooine, this could get real bleak for Matt real quick.
The system, you mean?
No, all the sites.
Okay.
If I'm Anthony, I might just consider completely abandoning space. Like you're not going to be able to hang for too long with the relatively limited ROTS space package. So if you say, you know what, I'll let you have your drain of 2 at Tatooine, but I'm going to make you I'm going to stop you from staying flipped. I'm going to control or occupy at least every other site and play it super aggressively and take you off the sites. It could get real interesting.
Agreed.
Because that's the thing with Diplo is if you just keep him flipped back, it'll be hard. I mean, Matt can stay flipped as long as he has two battlegrounds because he will control the system. But Anthony could also play the, run around game as well.
Yeah.
He does have enough space to at least keep Matt honest.
Yeah.
So
Honest is probably the best he's going to do. When I played this Rots Vader at Worlds, I played Space in Mustafar, similar to what he's playing. And I just found that the Space didn't fight very well. Like, at best, I was running around and hoping to stay alive. And in the games where that mattered, I felt like I could have just been paying to drain. So I ended up cutting the Space for Columbus and playing more battle interrupts. And spoiler alert, Garrett and I received the deck list for today. And so Anthony is not opting for Vader's Obsession in the works, which in this matchup is actually maybe okay in that he doesn't probably need the 2 activation, but the Vader movement text is super relevant. And so, like, I just went up to 5 of each of those activation pullers and played some extra battle interrupts and cut all of the space stuff. And so I'm interested to see how, if at all, Anthony's able to hang in space. I would anticipate he might just throw up like his Maul ship or something over to the Mustafar to try to avoid paying to drain.
And I think you're probably right. I think if I'm Anthony, I'm throwing Mustafar or throwing Maul and Vanto at Mustafar. So I get that ping drain and I'm not paying to drain, and then holding Zuckuss for a spot if Matthew spreads too light in space, and just throwing Zuckuss down to clear something and then try and stay ahead.
Yeah, he has to give him an opening for that, and that very well may happen. We didn't really comment on that.
I could. I mean, the game, we haven't talked about the game a lot because, like, everybody knows what's happening here.
Yeah.
Matt put Ray down on the Tanev, which is a little interesting, but I think it might have been a nod to if Batmouse has something like a quick Zuckuss and wants to go at him, he needs some forfeit fodder there.
Agree completely. And there's just a lot of value. Maybe he saw something good was in his force pile. Getting Ray on table turn 1 is pretty awesome because of the additional draw on both players' turn. Ray's not necessarily stuck up there. Like, depending on how the space goes, she may or may not come back. But I would anticipate she'll probably be on Tanev for the rest of the game. With Bale on there, that's 2 Battle Destiny, a lot of forfeit. I think he's in a pretty decent shape there. What I was going to say about the early game, I agree with you. Like, Ross Vader did the anticipated pull Vader, get a saber. Notably, what I wanted to talk about is that Anthony is playing Vader V, which I also opt for 3 of that Vader in my the Rods Vader I played most recently. But some folks like to play like a 1-1-1 split between that Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith, and Lord Vader. I think in this matchup, you wish you had a Dark Lord of the Sith.
I think you do, and I think this might have been a nod to, like we talked about, the MHT put Batmouse on most of his Jedi decks are gone. I know one of the decks Batmouse was worried about was No Idea. And this is the best Vader for facing No Idea.
Yeah, he's good when your opponent has a stack. That -1/-1 helps. The ability to pull Vader's anger that can add a bunch to your Battle Destiny is really nice. Here, he's probably going to be fighting.
I think that might have been the issue.
That makes sense. I mean, I think in this circumstance where you're trying to pick against a deck with limited knowledge of what they may play, playing what you think broadly to be the best Vader is good. This is maybe a circumstance where having a combo or combination would have been nice.
The Falcon off the top seems less than ideal for MHT to that drain.
Agreed. I'm honestly, he must really like his hand that he top decked
That
with
that's
Mouse.
yeah, that seems like. And Batmouse misses a Mustafar pull, which, depending on what's in his force pile, may have just given away the Zuckuss and Mist Hunter. And, Matt may be able to. We'll probably be able to assume if Matt knows he's got Zuckuss and Mist Hunter if he never opens himself up for a Zuckuss and Mist Hunter battle, because that is a little unfortunate giving that info up. But yeah, that Falcon is a big loss. That's going to limit MHT's ability to do more than just hold a system and drain for one.
Oh, interesting. He
I
wouldn't have seen it on the verify, but here comes Zuckuss just raw dogging him out to Tatooine. I don't think I love this play.
I don't actually hate it. Like, what space is Matt going to come at you with, knowing that the Falcon's dead? There's no way Matt's playing two Falcons. Like, if I'm Batmouse and I just saw the Falcon go away in Diplo, and I see the Tanev is on its way to Alderaan because you can't go anywhere else, and I can at least start here's a drain of 2 and another drain of 2 that I don't have to pay for, I'm okay with it.
I see that argument. I think I more broadly think for positioning in the game at this point, adding this Zuckuss is not necessarily needed on this turn. And so I would have probably rather drawn up to 14 plus cards in hand, left force being able to react, but we'll see. I mean, Anthony does have 10 cards in hand. He also has the puller now for the Dreadnought. It's just, I don't know.
I agree in general. I think it depends greatly on what's in Batmouse's hand.
That's what I'm saying. His hand may have dictated, I have enough characters, I'm just going for it. I can put on a lot of pressure. So TBD. We had in the chat a question from Talon John, what we meant by his best Darkside main decks are gone. So just for clarity, when my mic wasn't working, part of what we talked about was the unique format of this event, in that players can only use an archetype once through the entirety of the Champions League. So the decks that Batmouse for Darkside has already played: Endor Operations, Hunt Down V, Hunt Down Non-V, and Maul SSA. And Matt for Lightside had played Hitco, Agents in the Court, Zero Hour, and Watch Your Step. So going into this match, they knew I cannot face these 4 decks.
And that's a definite change in the way you build for a tournament and play the game when your opponent has those limitations. When you go, okay, I know I can't face these things, like we talked about, where you see Vader. We've seen the deck list. Batman went heavy Vader V because one of the main decks he was worried about was No Idea. And there's some of that extra kind of meta-analysis and metagaming in this sort of match play format that you don't necessarily see in every other format. So Matt is spent a lot of time looking for that battleground site.
As I was coming up to my office to start this, I said to my wife, I'm really glad Garrett offered to jump in with me, because we have one of the more deliberate players playing this evening. Notably, I think Matt lost a game in the finals of the last Champions League 2 years ago because his action timer ran out. He didn't click OK for 5 minutes. So
yep, it was and Dan and I were on that game, and it was a weird. Everyone was a little thrown when it happened. We were all, wait, what just happened here? And yeah, Matt is a very deliberate player, which definitely means you're going to hear a little more of us chattering, because there's only so much game stuff we can talk about. And we see Matt played the Ascension Guns, which went lost because Vader's at the Chasm Walkway. Um,
I
I wonder if he's trying to put together a response to Zuckus.
Yeah, or
I
if
my
it's possible
because
he
my
honestly
basic
forgot the
concern is
text.
also possible, but Matt's a very, very good player. And that's one of those key parts of Rot's Vader that Vader sitting there messes up your deck pretty hard. So I think I think Batmouse putting Zuckus there potentially put Matt in a what am I going to do hole. And that's going to make this interesting. And there we see the Owen and Baru come down and the immediate code clearance shield pop from Batmouse to say, if you play Harvest, I'm going to kill all your Diplo retrieval, which seems like a solid play. Like I don't expect him to be playing Harvest, but I do like the forcing him to at least think about it. And Matt spreads out. Does he have another ship?
Yeah,
Like if he can drop a ship to Chandrilla and then move the Tanev, this could start getting interesting.
the only other ship he has in his list is Rogue One, which notably requires a pilot. So I am interested to see how he navigates this. That Falcon loss is just huge. I am
Yeah.
surprised that Matt didn't prioritize losing from his hand.
And depending on Batmouse's hand, this could go downhill for Matt real quickly. Like here's a drain of 4 followed by a couple heart attacks. So he's getting Rogue One with Radis. So he's got to deploy Rogue One plus a pilot. Like he's gonna be light on force to be able to do anything beyond just deploy that and then move the Tanev.
I think he must have this. He must have the Rogue One, and he must have a Hujix or a barrier. He has something that he feels safe. I think pulling the Rogue One, if he has a pilot, he can ship dock, move the tapes. He's still he's gonna flip. He'll satisfy battle order. Yeah, he'll eat a drain for 4, but then Batmouse has
It'll
a
only be
10 card
3 now
hand.
with Menace Fades.
Yeah, 3. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be if he's got Rogue One plus a pilot, he can do the ship dock, he can move, he can flip, he can put Batmouse in a position of having to start doing things. But Batmouse does have 15 force to work with in a 10 card hand. Like, there is a chance he's going to be able to come down on him somewhat aggressively, at least at a couple locations, and make this interesting quick. Because the flip side is, Matt's not really threatening a lot of damage. Like Batmouse is draining for 3. I guess with Bale,
Isn't it 2 at Chandra-La, 2 at
he's
DNC, 2
yeah.
at the Cantina, and 1. So he's assuming
If he keeps all of those locations,
which is a huge assumption. But if nothing were to
yeah,
change, he's draining for 7.
yeah. So
But
there's red.
Something is going to change.
Yeah. I don't know that he'll have a force to play barrier. Okay, so he just put Wedge alone at Chandrilla. I don't love that play. Batmouse has 15 force, and you know he has the Dreadnought and a Dreadnought plus a guy there, especially if you make him pull the barrier by going to ground first, could make things a little unpleasant for Matt, especially because Rogue One's got no immunity.
Yeah, I think what you'll see is Matt doesn't care if he loses some ground game here, and he will prioritize that barrier for the Dreadnought. But Matt's
And
going to
that's
be in a
possible.
tough spot. I mean, either way, he's eating the drain of 3 here. Maybe I was wrong about the Zuckuss play. I don't know. If I were Anthony, I'd rather have 4 or 5 more cards to choose from, and just know Vader's moving into the fray.
Yeah, I mean it's the Zuckuss play was an aggressive line, and I think you're correct that it's one of those things that is really hand dependent and really tempo dependent. Like if Batmouse didn't have a good hand, I think you sacrifice that, and there's the blast door controls to stop barrier. Ooh,
And
Batmouse had a pretty darn good hand.
in almost no way he makes the Zuckuss play if Matt doesn't top deck the Falcon. I think he was like, I'm going to be
Agreed.
opportunistic here.
I fully agree. If Matt had not top decked the Falcon, Anthony does not do that and instead draws some cards because that's all he could. That's all he needed to do. But he saw an opportunity and said, "Well, I'm going to try and take this and see where it goes." Ooh. So Batmouse tries to deploy a Mustafar location or a lightsaber from reserve deck and can't hit either. So Sidious doesn't have a lightsaber. What is he attempting to revert for? Oh, okay. He wants to see what's in his. He missed on both things and probably just rage clicked and
And then he was like,
said, "Wait, I need
I
to."
probably should have looked at this.
I'll be honest. I've done that many
Me
times,
too.
and I've never asked for a revert because it always feels really bad to be like, "Look, I'm just stupid and made a mistake. Can I look again, please?"
For some reason, I feel bad ever asking online. And in person, I'm like, can I just look again? And people are like, oh, sure. And you look really fast, and it's not a big deal.
And like in person, I don't generally make that mistake to not look for things. It's one of those the vagaries of online play. Like I'm much better at keeping my focus in person than I am online.
That's funny. I almost
Online,
feel the
there's
opposite.
online for me. There's like 7 tabs always open, and one of them's playing music, and my wife's yelling at me from somewhere, and it just doesn't work well at all. So
I think for me, it's something about the way the deck is laid out. Like, it's so much easier to be like, oh, 4 of my 5 accelerates are in the deck because I can just quickly count them. And in person, it's like harder fanning through the cards.
yeah, in person, there's a lot of count again and again on what's in there.
Yeah. All right.
So
This is potentially big game from Anthony here. We got he only has 2 Sidious in his deck, and he had him along with EPP Asajj. So we see Sidious come down in front of Leia. Leia draws a 1 that'll turn into a 5.
which you're fine with. Like Sidious is immune, and you
Yeah.
cost him Leia.
Yeah. Either way, I was like, pretty much anything he drew, Leia's just covering. But
Yeah,
Sidious, fully immune, kind of very hard for this deck to attack into. And he's
agreed.
kind of the perfect character to have at the Dune Sea.
And I think right here you'll see Asajj swing at both. Anthony's destiny is very high. So, yep. And we do see he's going to swing at both, and he's just going to prioritize, like we talked about, just run Matt out of characters.
So we see a 4
That hung on that 4 for a little while. Somebody,
and a 4.
yep. So that'll hit him.
That'll hit, right? It's just -2.
Yeah, they're both forfeit -2. That's why he swung at both of them, because you don't want to hit Radis and then like draw your 1 here, and then Chewie stays alive.
Oh no!
Oh,
Okay. I think you were incorrect.
I thought he's.
Just Chewie with the sniper in hand.
I thought he swung at both of them. No, he swung at both. He can sniper. So the sniper is the response to being hit.
Oh, just to Chewie being hit, and now.
So
Oh wow!
Chewie was hit. Now he snipers Chewie. Now Radis is at a total of 4. So whatever Batmouse draws here is overflow, unless Matt's got one of his 2 Hoojixes in hand.
Yeah, that I was about to say. I mean, I hope for Matt's sake he has to have the Ujix here, but he does at least play 2. So the odds are the way he played his turn, I think he has to think I may need to Ujix. I'll be very surprised if he doesn't have it.
I agree. And I think for Batmouse is a huge proponent of make him prove it. I think Batmouse is totally fine with that being Hujixed.
Oh, I agree. His board position
So,
now is great. And I hadn't studied Matt's list all that hard, but he's not even playing Celebration. So, like, it's going to be hard for Matt to dig out of this hole.
I don't love Sidious moving away from the Dune Sea. If anything, I actually would have liked Sidious to move to Lars Farm.
Agreed.
Matt's got 7 cards in hand. Let's call it 8 if you assume he raised next turn. Sidious can exclude 1 guy, which potentially drops the number on a weakness can be found if Matt only drops a high ability character there. And you don't have to worry about that. Like, the reality is Matt doesn't have a way to make guys forfeit 0. So Batmouse's guys are relatively safe.
100%
Like,
agree.
it's unlikely he has to gick out of a battle.
Yeah, and I mean, Sidious alone covers like 14, maybe 15.
Yeah. Sidious alone is 13 plus Destiny. Because he's 5 power and 8 forfeit.
8 forfeit, okay. Well, and also, ostensibly, he should have pulled always 2 there are. So, like, if things were really bad, he has that as like a mini gick. And to your point, I mean, like, worst case here is like Lando to draw a second Destiny to maybe get a lot of power, and he can just exclude the Lando. So
yeah, like I
would have 100% moved Sidious in front of Oniburu.
So we talked about Batmouse making that Zuckus play and saying that was a very aggressive line. Moving Sidious like that was the exact opposite. That was a almost too passive line.
Yeah. Yeah, like the middle ground is just leave him at the Dune Sea.
Yeah, like what I wouldn't mind seeing at all is move Sidious to the farm, use Vader's machination and warp Vader to the Dune Sea.
Yeah, and then you have people at each
and just say, let's fight on Tatooine. And then Matt can then say, well, I'll send my guys to Cloud City, but Batmouse can just warp back to Cloud City.
Yeah. I agree with you.
And then your guys aren't going anywhere. Like, I don't love that play line by Anthony. And I think we see Matt probably trying to set up to at least stick the Tanev at Tatooine in a turn or 2.
Yeah.
As he asked to revert away I'm like, okay, Hera there is not a bad play.
I don't know. What is Hera
and then
there
he took it away.
I was like, I was waiting for you to
I was
going to say I hate that play, and so I'm glad he asked for it. It's 2 turns away from having an impact, and Matt is on the back pedal here.
I think the Hera play is to
Hera on Rogue One, maybe
get her in play.
Well,
what does
getting her in play this turn do if he's putting her on Tantive 4 to non-battleground?
So I think what he's doing is putting her on Tantive 4, moving the Tantive to Chandrila, moving Rogue One to Mustafar, and keeping his 2 battleground system drains. The thing with putting her on Rogue One is you still can't move that in front of Zuckus.
Yeah, I was like, it's at least more excusable to me than putting her on Tantive, but she can't move in front of Zuckus and fight equitably. So I don't see any argument for playing her. I think Matt played her and then was like, what did I just do? And thankfully Anthony was gracious and gave him the revert.
And I will say both players, have granted reverts that they certainly don't have to grant. And that's been a very nice thing. And there we see Ahsoka Tano instead on Rogue One.
Which makes way more sense to me. Now
that's actually a really good spot.
Yeah, he can move that over to Tatooine and then move Tantive 4 over to Chandrila.
And extra bonus, there's no chance he takes the Revenge of the Sith ping for losing Ahsoka that he would take otherwise.
Yes.
If he put her on the ground somewhere. So we see the Lando deploy Go ahead.
Dan just said no immunity in chat about Rogue One, which is true, but he has Wedge piloting now with the Rogue Squadron pilot, so he
Yeah,
can
you
cancel Destiny.
no immunity doesn't matter if your opponent doesn't draw Destiny. Like at this point, Anthony's going to have to move Zuckuss to Mustafar and start running around. That Lando deploy really perfectly encapsulated, though, why Batmouse should have moved in front of Owen and Baru.
And ideally move the Vader too. And then he said maybe Lando goes to Cloud City, but then he's stranded at that site. And any random like P-59 or something comes down and takes care of him.
Yeah. So Batmouse gets another drain of 3 this turn, though. Like that's starting to add up. And I mean, he's only got 6 cards in hand. That's a little unfortunate. But I think he's got to go after Lando or Owen and Baru here with somebody.
The question is what characters, if any, he has.
I mean, he still had a pile of random dudes who are fine. Like,
I don't disagree. It's more has he drawn characters? He has like 8 or 9 guys that are not on the table, and with the exception of the Mithrandu, every other character in his deck draws Destiny on its own.
And Thrawn is dead. I mean, he just lost the Thrawn.
Oh, and there he is. There. Sorry, he's in the last. I was busy looking at the his deck list.
What? Why are you putting Eli there? I don't love or understand that play. Still don't love or understand that play.
Ooh, and the perimeter scan makes this look real bad. Like just Affleck on the ground to fight seems much better than this. Yes, he still would have been perimeter scanned, but that's so much force. This is a big tempo swing.
Yeah, at this point, Anthony has to move Zuckuss to Chandrilla, which I don't hate. It blocks a drain of 2. I think you move Sidious into the Dune Sea. Matt's got 5 cards in hand. You exclude Lando when he starts the battle. You have the always 2 there are if you need it. Like, don't just passively give up that drain.
I completely agree. I think not moving is a mistake.
I mean, it is only a drain of 1. Like, realistically, Batmouse is looking at this and going, fine, you're draining for 3. I'm draining for 3. By the way, you have 11 more cards lost than me right now.
Yes, if this were not match play, I'm like, okay, that's fine. But I would be playing to mitigate every bit of differential, and I feel like it's not risky to move the Sidious in front of Lando.
So the only
Lando's not there when you have Sidious.
Yeah. And the only thing you are risking with that if you move Sidious over is if you lose the battle, you're giving up that spot retrieval, which is not ideal. And it might be worth eating the drain of 1 rather than giving Matt another card back when you're just trying to grind differential out. You're trying to grind him down. So we see the drain of 1, the force field go away. That's very reasonable card to lose from hand. You know, Batmouse, if you're Batmouse, you're not scared of weapons in this deck.
It's very possible that card does nothing.
At best, you might have a Luke's Saber, but you still have to get it. And we already saw one Luke go lost. I don't love the Lord Sidious being lost from hand. I don't. I really don't like Hyperwave Scan being lost. Total Battle Destiny may not be increased. I would have dropped that on the Dune Sea when you moved Lord Sidious over and said, all right, now you can't add 4 or 5 to your Destiny or whatever and come at me. I think that was a mistake.
I agree. I mean, the point about the differential, too, I would say is like Matt is on the back foot here. The way this is going, I expect that Anthony will win. But Matt is unbelievable at online tournaments and match play. And so, like, it really could come down to I didn't block that drain at the Dune Sea for a turn or two. And so
certainly possible.
I
and
would err
here
on
we see
even ahead, mitigate as much damage as possible. And now we see Hera and Mon Mothma and Ramus all come down on the Tan of 4. This makes me think Matt's fighting.
Oh, I think Matt is, and Matt's drawing 2 Destiny there. Actually, Matt's now drawing 3 between Bale, Hera, and Ability. And Batmouse is drawing 2. Now, with Matt drawing 3, if he gets above a 13 total, he blows out all of Batmouse's space.
And it's 3 plus 4. So
yeah,
he only has to get 10.
He needs to draw a 9.
Is it 13 greater than 13 or 13 or more?
13 or more, because you've got 6, 6, and 5 in forfeit. So
he needs to draw 13 plus the 4. Sorry, I'm with you now. So
no, he needs to draw 13 including the 4. So once he gets above 12 in forfeit, Batmouse loses everything because he's got a 6, a 6, and a 5.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. I had a date night with my wife tonight, so I'm a little slow sometimes. Thank you for walking me through
I get it.
Math.
So and
So
redraw he gets Cassian.
Not to mention a very valuable card.
He didn't redraw. He took it into hand with Mon Mothma.
Oh, he does have 3 rebels though. I'm surprised.
I think Cassian's good enough. You want that card in hand. So this should be a cancel and redraw. Well, no, because now he's out of Destiny draws.
Exactly.
He has 4 rebels there, but he only has 3.
He must have known. Okay, reset to a 2.
That's good. That's his only out right now. If this is another one of those 5s or 6s, this just flipped hard out of Anthony's favor. And I think now the option is he could, in theory, cancel and redraw it with Hera, but he only has 1 Destiny left in there, and he's going to draw that anyways. So that would be a huge mistake if he does.
Yeah, I assume, knowing Matt, he's just thinking through, is there anything I can do about this?
Yeah.
He did redraw.
Okay.
Maybe.
I think that was a mistake.
His Destiny was not very good for this battle.
No, I mean, he's going to end up with he's 3, 4, 5.
He's still quite powerful.
How did
see what Anthony draws.
Oh, no, he did have enough to get that draw. I forgot the Cassian was taken into hand, so it was his first draw already. So he drew I guess it didn't change it with the draw. But 12 is exactly what Batmouse needed him to draw because it allows him to keep Zuckuss and Mist Hunter alive, at least for a turn.
Yeah. And we see Matt retrieve here from winning the battle. Anthony's down 12, which he has to lose in attrition anyway.
Yeah. He's down 13 in power and 12 in attrition, so it'll be Eli, Aplek, and 1. And then Zuckuss will run the heck away to Mustafar next turn. Yeah. And Batmouse will be playing the I just don't want to pay for drains game and trying to stay ahead.
Him doing his space play made Matt commit many more resources to space. So maybe I'm just rethinking my thinking. Maybe I should have said I like the pressure from Anthony.
So if he moves Zuckuss to Mustafar, which is what we have to assume, if I'm Matt, I'm planning my next turn. Rogue One follows to Mustafar. Tanev goes to Tatooine, and I shuttle a chunk of those characters down to Tatooine and start trying to hold those sites.
Yeah. So
So
one
I'm
notable
bringing Rey
thing.
down for sure.
Oh yeah, get her off the ship. I like that.
Um,
One thing I was going to say is Anthony only has 5 cards in hand too, and now he has to use his last force. Or sorry, Matt is now moving expectedly. But Anthony on his turn, I don't expect to have like a huge retaliate. It's going to be like move away, draw up a bunch of cards.
I agree. I expect it'll, at best, he'll have one guy to come down in battle. Interesting. So Matt goes to Mustafar instead. So he can shuttle Rey down to the Vader's castle and get that drain of 2 going. I don't mind that play at all.
I don't either. I think this is him also
Like,
thinking, look, he has so few cards in hand. What's he going to do?
and even if you do, like, if you're committing a guy to killing Rey at a non-battleground, you're not advancing your game state particularly. You're just slowing down Matt's kill.
Agreed.
And I think Matt's perfectly content with that possibly occurring. So I like that play quite a bit. And I think Matt's still just clocking and thinking about what, if anything else, he wants to do. Because at the same point, as we were talking about, Matt's only got 4 cards in hand. And now he's only potentially going to draw a couple force.
He moved Mon Mothma down too, which makes me think he must have the second Hujix. But the other thing about him, he can draw fewer cards because of Rey.
Yeah. And I think I do agree that screams he has the second Hujix. But I think Batmouse might need to make him prove it.
Oh, I don't
And
disagree.
I think if I'm Batmouse, your play there is drop someone in front of Mon Mothma, kill her, force the Hujix,
And move over.
and then walk in front of Rey.
Yeah.
And just say either we're going to chase each other around Mustafar, or I'm going to eventually, win or do something with the battle there. And there's the we must accelerate, which I'm sure is for first strike. Unless he's going to actually go for the, no escape. Okay. Solid alternate option. There's a character in hand who can go battle fairly effectively.
Yeah, with a 4/0 weapon, it's possible the first strike was also buried in those 3 cards, and he was like, I'm good either way. I get my aura back, or I get my first strike.
Yeah, and the first strike, I think if it wasn't buried in those 3, I think you can make an argument for first strike to go grab aura. But if you don't have another character, you don't get any value out of that first strike.
Yeah.
And you really do need that aura back.
That's fair. We see Matt pop Walkling to get his escape pod back, which also will allow him on his turn to guarantee at SC6.
Yeah, I think that 6 is very good. And especially Batmouse having burnt the always 2 there are already. But Matt's, what are you going to do with a Destiny 6 with only 3 cards in hand? And honestly, it's really only 2 because one of them has to be a Hujix. Yeah. So how much damage are you really going to be able to do here? And Batmouse throwing down Tentacle as well, even though I don't know that Matt's going to play any more interrupts.
It does, though, mitigate the 6 anyway. He can just make Matt shuffle.
Oh, yeah, make him shuffle after 1. And that might be the play. So we see Sidious get a lightsaber, which I think definitely means Sidious is going to the Dune Sea next turn.
He was looking in every nook and cranny in that cantina for his lightsaber before he went outside.
It took a little while. I mean, it's a really dark room.
Where did I leave this thing?
He's not the only old guy who lost something at a bar. Let's just, give him some credit for staying there and finding it. And Batmouse even had the first strike.
Yeah. That was the other alternative. It wasn't buried in the 3 cards. It was just in his hand. And so getting the back was
Batmouse
quite good.
has had a very good hand so far. Now, the one downside to first strike is it makes it a little less palatable to move in front of Ray and move in front of Lando.
Agreed.
Like, it does feel a little worse to give up that retrieval coming back and take that ping, but I think it's still somewhat necessary. I mean, certainly moving in front of Ray. I guess if you decide that the Lando ping, you're losing one, but you're stopping him from retrieving one now, and you're just waiting for your spot with the first strike, it's fine. But then the Saber's kind of a bad play because you're not adding to that drain. Menace Fades is in play. You can't add to that drain, so leave the 3 in your deck. Or what? So it's a 3 right now because there's 3 Jedi and Dark Jedi on table.
Yeah. It's Jedi and Dark Jedi, okay. It was like, is it
Yep, so
even if
3.
it was Jedi and or Dark Jedi and Sith, which is what I was thinking, it's also 3, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. So, and we did see the Revenge of the Sith pop up with Savage Opress being a Destiny 3. So he hit Mon Mothma. And now we see if Matt did run the second Hoojix. I'll be honest, I would not hate throwing that on Tentacle if I'm Anthony.
I would for sure grab that.
Okay.
But on Matt's turn, it's like, well, I can try to battle into you and get it back. So
yep.
That's the second time you've been Hoojixed. Anthony doesn't want to see it a third time. You got to grab it there.
So I think we'll see. Yep, there's the Zuckuss move. I think you've got to move Aura. And then I think you pick some up. Like, you need resources. We talked about the Batmouse is going to need to take a lot of use of first strike and starting battles. And this is where that's going to matter. So he is moving Sidious in front of Lando. He doesn't move Aura.
Tells me he does not have Geek in his hand.
Yeah, I guess I would have done that the other way, but maybe that's just it, is he's slightly worried about Aura needing to Geek, as she's only a 9 total power and forfeit versus Sidious's 13.
And Sidious has the exclude.
Yeah, like Sidious is much harder to overflow. But again, with Matt only having 2 cards in hand, like, they both have to be characters for Aura to be looking at overflow, I think.
I agree. Well, he'll get the draw for Ray, but yes.
It's still
moved. I think the odds of you being in a terrible situation just seem so slim.
And there, Batmouse says, all right, well, let's go. I'm going to take over every side on Tatooine. He finally moves Vader over. He did not, however, take the tentacle shuffle right away.
Which is interesting because Owen Beru can clear this Vader.
Yeah, because he is only immune to less than 5, although he may have drawn another Vader.
Sure, but that at least makes him use the Force. Matt will probably win the battle in retrieve and win for first strike. So it could be 2 retrieval plus clearing the Vader to lose a free deploy character that he has another one of.
Yeah. I'm not positive he wins the battle.
Well, 6 plus 7, 8, 9, 10. It'd be a battle to see a 10. So it's
and if Batmouse plays the Vader's Anger, he can go get. You're at 8 plus Destiny to the total of 13. Like, that's not a guaranteed win. A 5 is easy for Batmouse to draw.
It's not guaranteed, but I would say it's more likely than not because Batmouse is not tracking.
Yeah. I mean, I'd still if I'm Matt, I still 100% start that battle. But it's not quite a it's not a guarantee you win the battle and retrieve. And Batmouse played Turn It Off to go get Come Here, You Big Coward. I think he's probably regretting he didn't have that earlier, because I think he might have been more aggressive with the Sidious that early turn if he'd had the Turn It Off, because I think Lando might have been his fear. So I think he's taking some aggression now that I think probably should have gone earlier. But he's definitely putting Matt on a clock. Like, he's making Matt think about what he's doing here, and Matt definitely, he's already 10 minutes down on timer. I don't think he'll run out of time, but
until Matt gets down to like 5 minutes, he's going to take his time.
Yeah. And I don't think he'll run out of time, but this is Anthony has played just a lot closer than I think Matt was expecting, and honestly, than I think you and I were expecting. I sort of expected this would go downhill quickly for Anthony, and I don't think it has, and I'm not sure it's going to the way this is going.
Yeah, I think the Falcon loss changed the complexion of this game considerably.
Yeah.
I see Cassian come down to the Cantina and Baze. Interesting.
And
so he knows Baze should hit.
Yeah, Baze should hit, which will make forfeit 0. Like, that could be rough. I don't necessarily love starting that battle first.
Well, I think he's thinking I'll be power.
I mean, I guess
a million. Like, he's trying to. This is the only thing I can
force out the
He's
kick.
going to be what, power 6 if that's the escape out on top. So that's 6, 12, 13,
and I think
14,
it is.
15, 16, 17. He's 17 to 5 plus your destiny. So he's like, I'm putting you to the test. You're going to have to lose a lot of force here. Or exclude me, and then we just traded first strike pings.
And I think if I'm Batmouse, I think you have to go for the exclude.
I think you also exclude. And you just eat your 1 force loss and give him his retrieval.
Yeah. Like, I think you exclude, and then you figure out the next turn.
All right. Well, he did not.
Or not. You do this enough, sometimes you figure out that these guys just don't listen to us.
Well, maybe he has his second. No, I was about to say maybe he has the second.
He lost his other Sidious. Yeah,
it's in his lost pile.
So, and he just lost the Sniper Dark Strike, which would have been at least an interesting play. Although I think I would, if I'm him, I'd prioritize using that in the Cantina battle.
Agreed.
Like, at least here, assuming you draw decent, you can probably get out of this with just losing Sidious. And that's fine. Like, it's not ideal, but it is tolerable. So, yeah, the total battle destiny is 11. So he's at 17 to Batmouse's 13 power and forfeit plus destiny. So I think Batmouse is going to have to lose Sidious unless he draws something.
Ooh, a 1.
Oh, that's not what he wanted.
Yeah, so he's down
so
11.
Sidious and 3. There's no way you're appealing 11.
No, absolutely under no circumstance.
Even if this wasn't match play, you're not peeling 11 because you've only got 20 cards down. Like, you're losing Sidious and 3 here.
Like, if Map,
and I almost think you have to lose the 3 because you can't gick this because the Asajj battle could be worse.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you what you think about that. Since now Matt only has 2 battle destiny, like, maybe I'm a little less concerned about the Cantina, and actually Matt's just fine saying, I will block your drain of 2. But he's so incentivized to battle here.
Oh, I think you're battling if you're Matt. You battle. If you know what that destiny is, you just shoot and hit Asajj. If you don't know what it is, I think you just draw destiny and try and get the Baze hit. Like, you have to assume Batmouse swings at Cassian probably. And then if you're Matt, I think you just let the Cassian hit go through and you don't even need to base at that. Like, you just base, shoot, and cancel the battle destiny and move on. You just have to count on not losing Baze. You got to count on Batmouse not having a guy to go after Baze with, which
I
would be
think
the
Matt's
concern.
okay losing both his characters here.
It could be. Then I think you just don't even bother Cassianing unless you just want to remove that card in loss pile as that tiebreaker in
Know.
that regard.
I think there's like a lot of nuance in this battle. Like, I'm interested to see what Matt does because he has a lot of choices given that he only has 2 Destiny in his deck and no cards in hand. No cards in hand. This is not a situation you ever want to be in.
And Batmouse potentially, if Batmouse has a character in hand, he will flip Matt back next turn.
Because of the not controlling any locations text, or
because he's going to have to move Owen and Baru away from Vader, and then you have to occupy a site. And if you don't occupy a battleground site and a battleground system, or you don't control any locations, if he loses Cassian and Baze, and then you kill Owen and Baru next turn, because any character who draws Destiny kills Owen and Baru, Matt flips back because he no longer has a battleground site. That would be my concern. So Matt took the shot with Baze and missed. That's actually, I don't know how I think about that, because it makes the decision on canceling the battle destiny a lot harder. It means you cancel the battle destiny as Batmouse just went and got his Gick. Like, if you cancel the battle destiny, one of your guys lives, and you have no cards in hand, and you're not going to draw any way to reinforce them, and your Gick is gone. I'm
not. Oof. Yeah, I'm
not sure what the thought process was there, but missing that shot puts you in a worse position. And a 3 and a 3, so he is going to do the cancel the battle destiny and leave Baze there. Or do you because if you let Anthony draw, you put yourself in a position to get flipped back.
Well, he can't cancel now.
Now he can't cancel it.
So Matt's just going to lose both his characters, and Asajj will die as well. But Matt should be able to retrieve.
Batmouse won't have to Gick, I don't think. I think he retrieved off winning the Lando battle. Isn't that once per turn? Yeah, once per turn if you won a battle. So I think he retrieved off winning the Lando battle. Ooh. Very fortunately, it's still +4. That would have been real unfortunate. So
it's just a snap reaction when you see someone draw 0 for battle destiny to be like,
oh yeah, no, that was we both had the same. Oh, that's too bad. So actually, that 3 potentially allows Matt to keep Baze alive, and Matt's going to do that.
I guess he just says you have 4 cards in hand. It also
protects him
from the flip back that you were discussing.
That's the thing, is it saves the flip back. It makes it harder. Now Batmouse has to have 2 characters in those 4 cards.
Right.
And that's
which is not a given. Especially given that he escaped to get back Aura, which tells me he may not have had another character, because honestly, yes, you go for the shot, but it's so obvious in that circumstance that Matt has the Hujix. I would personally have been trying to save Aura to be back on Tatooine. If I had any other character that can just draw Destiny and knock Mon Mothma out, I'm happy to do that with First
Yeah.
Strike.
I agree. I think so Matt decided to consolidate. Now, we did see Batmouse just draw 2 characters for Destiny as well. So again, like, how many guys with sabers does he have to send at the Dune Sea? But that's Matt consolidated there. Matt's a little concerned, I think. And now I think if you're Batmouse, you have to move Aura in front of Rey this turn.
Yeah, it's just not
one way or the other. She's, you can't keep eating that drain of 2. Like, Matt can't do anything beyond that, so you just have to go with it. Trying to think. So that 2 force, I think the 0 is what's sitting on top of Matt's deck right now.
It should be most likely, yeah.
So you're better at tracking than I am. Certainly, when I'm watching a game, I'm not trying to track for the most part because there's just too much other things going on and too much conversation. I got to keep rolling.
I'm with you. That one was just easy because I'm like, I don't think he spent. Did he? Oh, he did spend force after that, and then he lost force. So yes, I believe it's 0 on top.
Okay, so Batmouse had no cards in hand. Or no characters.
Yeah, I'm like not shocked given the no escape for Aura that that's the case. Having played enough Rot Vader, there are times in the game. Also, him losing that Sidious was not a good choice from his hand. You said you didn't like it at the time, and I was like, well, if he's going to keep Sidious in the cantina out of the fray the whole game, maybe that's okay. But then he put the lightsaber on him, moved him out. And that's one of his best characters for this matchup. Like, that was a very suspect choice.
Yeah, I think. And, like, so Batmouse just paid to move Vader there. He could have waited until control phase and moved him for free. He paid to move Vader because he needed that card in reserve. Batmouse activated down to 1.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Like, and he didn't move Aura back. I'm going to stick with giving up that drain of 2 as a mistake. Like, you're going to take the ping of 1 to First Strike. It's unfortunate. You might even lose the battle. You'll probably lose the battle. But eliminating that drain of 2 when Matt has no way to cause any more significant damage, like, the worst thing that could happen is he rays into a character.
Exactly. Especially this turn,
and deploys it on you.
He has no cards in his hand. The worst case scenario is he draws 1 other character. It's unlikely that that character has a weapon. So, like, Aura is probably safe. So you're protecting a drain of 2. You may or may not be having him deploy another card. If he doesn't deploy the other card, it's probably just a blank trade. And yes, he got 1 retrieval and you got a force loss, but you're cutting off this drain of 2 at probably the most opportune time in the game.
So realistically, we know what the top card of Matt's deck is. We know it's that Mos Eisley. He can't put another card with Rey. Because when he activates, that Mos Eisley is going to be the bottom card. He will Rey that location.
Yeah, he didn't. He shield busted, so he can't.
He can't shuffle on his own.
I don't see any other way on the table that he can just shuffle. Matt's thinking about his turn. He must.
I guess
he knows that's Mos Eisley.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if he's not activating more because he doesn't want to draw necessarily more. Like, Batmouse now has 10 cards in hand. He certainly has the ability to get and drop a character. And I think Matt right now has to keep his forces on Tatooine together. Like, you can't split.
I agree.
Baze and Owen, because Baze is just asking to lose force. Like if you're Batmouse, you drop anybody on bays and go fine. Even if he hits me in retaliation, he's still losing the guy, losing potentially overflow because bays doesn't draw anything,
Or the guy
and you're
lives.
okay with that. Well, even if your guys gets the bays regret shot,
That's fair.
you've eliminated bays, you've eliminated the site. You're perfectly happy with that if you're Batmouse. So, and Matt activates all of it. I
Yeah.
think he knows he can't deploy anything either this turn.
Well, I'm curious if he considers draining and drawing up. I don't know.
I'd be surprised if he draws up here.
I think it's
Like,
possible that a lot of the maneuvering for the rest of this game is not super positive for Matt. An 11 is not an it's like a very surmountable amount. I'm not saying he's
yeah,
going to. I'm just saying it's a possibility this turn. If he had cards in his hand, I would feel differently.
and I would that my only thought process is any maneuvering right now, your worst case scenario with a bunch of maneuvering is Batmouse stays at about 11 cards and is losing cards from hand because you're still threatening a lot of damage. Like you still have a drain of 3 in space that's uncontestable, that Batmouse flat out can't stop. And if you're having Batmouse put any cards from hand on table, you're probably staying ahead of that for what it is. Like a draw up would surprise me a little bit. I could see him spending the force to kind of move guys around and then draw some. But you might be right. It might just be I think I'll take the 11 and hope I can, you know, win game 2 by 12 because
I'm actually mostly being provocative, and I thought we would be sitting here for a while, so I was like, I'm going to give you time to respond.
that works. I don't think I'd love it, but I think there's more of a case for that than not. It's not a completely terrible idea. I think it'd be a little bad, but he is in kind of a weird position where I doubt he can really cause more than 3 a turn. And anything he starts moving and putting guys out just risks giving up a first strike battle where you don't have a Hujix. Because if Batmouse drew into his Kylo, this gets real interesting quick. And there Matt draws the Mos Eisley, which frankly you just throw away.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a well. I know what card I'm losing next.
yeah, you're perfectly fine with. I mean, you'd ideally it not be that, but that's all you can do right now. And there, yeah, we're gonna see guys shift around. Yeah, and he's got to move cards to move things. And there's the Vader's anger to follow.
All right, I gotta
That's
expect Matt will grab this, but that's
Yeah, I
me.
think he's gotta, but that's a really strong play because between the saber and if he wants to add it to attrition, which I don't even think he needs to, you just go, here's Vader's anger. Next turn I'll battle, I'll hit a guy, make him forfeit 0, battle destiny the other way, and you're flipped back. So I'm seeing in my team chat someone saying, well, maybe you should have waited till he moved bays. And if you're Anthony and Matt leaves bays alone, you're doing a happy dance. Like, I don't care what else you do. You left bays alone. That's not going to end well for you. So, and Batmouse just plays Master for Move and says, well, I know where a 5 is. And okay, so Matt's shuttling a couple guys down, which is what he's got to do there. Um, I will say now Batmouse can just move in front of the Tanev. Like you're no longer at all scared about the bail. It's Batmouse can now block that drain of two.
Well, yeah, you're probably right.
I mean, at that point, you're down one power. You give up the first strike ping, but a Battle Destiny puts you back above him in power because the resets the total to zero.
Yeah, I'm with you. I won't be shocked if he doesn't even move in front of it, though.
You got to move away from Rogue One, though.
Yeah, but he may just go to Moose.
So if you've got to move away, I think you move in front of it at Tatooine, and say, "Fine, I'll take the first strike swing to not take a drain of two, because Matt has to pay for that retrieval. Like you're still you're forcing Matt to have cards. I mean, he avoided taking any drains this turn, but he's going to take at least one first strike ping and probably just one as Batmouse left three in reserve. So you're losing Vader if you do this battle. Because again, Matt's adding four to the Destiny. But I think you still have to do the battle.
I think Matt has done an admirable job of maneuvering in this game. Like he's made it so much closer than it really looks like. At one point, I think Anthony had 22 cards to Matt's like 14, and I did not think it would get this close. Let alone the fact that we're now debating like where Zuckuss should move, and now we see Savage.
I don't like Savage there. Oh, I guess he'll go get another Sith character.
But
I would have rather seen Savage. Oh, he can go get Sidious. I'd have rather seen Savage go to the Dune Sea, though. Like, if you battle in the Cantina,
I don't think we're. I don't know for sure that we're going to even see him battle. We likely will. I'm not
yeah,
sure this
I
is
think you
actually
have
going
to.
as well as Anthony might hope for himself, is all I'm saying.
And I think I agree. And actually, my concern with it is if Matt draws a 5 here,
He clears them both.
he wipes
Yeah.
the site.
That was
Like,
why I was like, he may or may not battle because
I'd have been much happier with Savage I guess at the Dune Sea, you don't get the battle
he
destiny.
doesn't
with Savage.
draw there. I don't
Yeah,
hate
like you
just playing
stop.
Savage and passing, though. I don't know that Matt's in a great position to battle into this.
I think if I was going to play Savage and pass, I would have played Savage at Lars Farm and started trying to threaten a drain.
It's only a drain of one, though.
Yeah, but it's still damage. Like in this case, it's still some damage, which is important. And Batmouse is thinking about retrieving, which, yeah, I mean, you're going to spend your one to move Zuckuss and Mist Hunter this turn. That's all you're going to do. But you're not drawing anymore. You've got a character in hand, but it's okay. So, well, there's a big swing and a hit. Like we knew what those were. So that's not a surprise. And that means Matt's going to take him out of this site and the ping of one, which helps. Like every ping helps right now.
Oh, for sure.
Because I mean, Matt's down to 10 cards in reserve in total face down. Yeah. Like this is not a gimme.
No, but they're like both quite low. Anthony's at 13 down and 2 in hand versus 11 down and or 10 down now and 1 in hand. So
yeah, I mean,
it's very close.
Matt's doing more damage than Anthony. Like Matt is absolutely pushing out more damage than Batmouse is.
Ooh, in a forfeit 0.
Yeah, I mean, you were. Now it just pretty much guarantees the site gets wiped.
Yeah, and I think that's like net way better for Matt than it is for Anthony. This is
Oh
why I
yeah,
wasn't sure I like battling.
that's absolutely better for Matt than it is Anthony, and I think I don't think I would have battled. I don't think I like putting Savage there battling. Like I said, I'd have put Savage at Lars Farm, or you could even make a case to put Savage at the Cantina alone,
And move
move
Vader
Zuckus
out.
to Tatooine, and then move Vader to either to the Dune Sea or warp him. I think you move him to the Dune Sea. I don't think you warp him back to Cloud City. Like Savage alone probably covers, and it blocks a drain of two. And then you've got Sidious in hand because you force Matt to then consolidate everybody again. I just, I still don't love leaving Ray alone there. Like from Anthony's perspective, I think he needed to move Aura over.
The turn where Matt had no cards in hand, I think that was a quite the missed opportunity.
Yeah, especially with knowing the only thing he could draw with Ray was that zero, and Batmouse maybe wasn't tracking that and didn't realize that. But I still think that was a mistake. So the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So Baze is going to cover. And yeah, I mean, I think Matt's perfectly happy saying, okay, well, we traded sites. Move on.
Mm-hmm. And Anthony only has the force left to move Zuckus, which leaves him with 2 cards in the hand. So, like, Matt is in quite a good position now.
And staring at a drain of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's unfortunate.
It's impressive play by Matt, I would say. Like, losing the Falcon and having to audible into how do I put the pressure back on Anthony? Like, the turn where he shuttled Ray and Mon Mothma down and really spread across the board. I think he kind of put Anthony on the do you have characters or not? And the answer was I don't have enough to mitigate enough damage.
I agree. I think Matt has played this very, very well. And that's a testament to why Matt is always in it in these big online tournaments. Like, and in live tournaments as well, but he just, doesn't get to as many of those. But if there's an online tournament, you can pretty much just chalk MHT into, the top 8, top 4, and be pretty comfortable with that placement.
Yeah. And I mean, this tournament's really interesting too because of the deck selection restriction. Like, it's kind of cool that it forces all of these good players to play different stuff. And same thing for Anthony. I mean, he's been on such a tear the last few years. It's been interesting just to see like what decks they chose and also the way this game went. I think if Anthony, like, I've been subject to this plenty of times in my career where you're like, I have a game plan. Like, he went very aggressive to begin with, and then we criticized him a bit for, well, now you kind of took your foot off the gas. And I think there's an argument to be made that if he had really kept the pressure up and moved in front of guys, maybe things go a little bit differently.
Yeah, I think he started the proverbial all gas, no brake. And then he started slowing down in the straightaway. Like, he accelerated through that turn and took that super aggressive line and then slowed down where I think he needed to just keep the gas on. And as much as I hate using the kids term, I think he needed to YOLO some of that a little bit and just, I'm going to make you prove it, but if you don't have it, I'm going to cause a ton of damage.
Honestly, sometimes against a player like Matt, YOLOing it is a strategy I can get on board with. So,
and Matt, for as much, positive as we said about Matt, and obviously, Matt's a spectacular player. Matt is also a player that will occasionally take risks. And you can sometimes catch him in he took a risk back. And I think that's what you saw when Matt spread heavily like that. He said, hey, I'm going to take a risk and make Batmouse prove he could stop me. And he couldn't.
Yep.
because as we identified, Batmouse slowed down at the wrong time. I think Matt picked the right moment to get aggressive. And I think it's paid off for him.
Agreed. A couple of years ago, playing against Matt in the NPC finals, I forget, I was playing Shadow Collective, he was playing Old Allies, and I think we shared our deck list with one another, and turn 2 or 3, I decided I'm making a YOLO play like we discussed. I had Wounded Warrior in my hand, and it basically was looking at my destiny like I have a 50-50 shot. If I hit, I think I win the game right here. And if I don't, it's going to be an uphill battle, but I don't love my chances with my other deck, so I'm taking a big risk. And didn't work out. But like that was an example of you got to just like commit to your game plan. And I think Anthony really had the best like start, and Matt capitalized to your point. He didn't have to play as aggressively as he did from the when the tables turned, and he really did this exceptionally. I was talking about him drawing up a few turns ago. Just, I mean, like I said, provocatively, but still.
And I think if Matt had not spread the turn he had, I think if Matt had not played that as aggressively as he did,
yeah,
I'm not sure he's in a position now to win the game like he is.
Agree completely. He gave himself an opening, and it's like, well, if this doesn't pay off, I still made the best choice at this moment to try and actually win.
Yeah, because like now, I mean, I don't think he battles into Zuckuss, but like Batmouse has got to use all 8 of his force at this point to deploy the Sidious in hand at the Dune Sea, move Zuckuss, and move Aura. Because at some point he's going to figure out he can't just eat that Drana too. Should have been 3 turns ago, but
I think he will battle in space because he's just going to lose R2 in C3PO. And then he can move Tandem 4 away for free and then move Rogue One in front of it. And he at least gets the first straight benefit.
And that's not terrible. Like, that's certainly a valid, well, I'll get the first strike ping, and then you can't do the deploy Sidious and move everybody idea I suggested. So let's see. Because, there's, on the flip side is, if he causes this ping, I could absolutely see Batmouse just drying up next turn.
Well, and you see a little chat here. Matt says he wished he had activated one more, and Batmouse said, I wish my gray cards wanted to join my hand. So this was another thought I had, and Matt actually just does it, is how does he get above the Zuckuss ability is play Luke as a pilot.
And I kind of thought that I was mentally saying, the only thing that really makes this bad for Batmouse is Luke from hand. Because anybody else you can survive. There's no other pilots in that deck that get him above that ability threshold. And Matt proved it. Like Matt said, okay, I've got it. So he'll get the 1 back for the first strike retrieval. That means he won't be able to retrieve from winning the battle. But I think Batmouse, as we saw, he just lost the Lord Sidious from hand because he knows he's not going to get to deploy him again, as he's already down effectively 6 power. He's down 3 plus 3 from the total battle destiny. And then he's eaten 2 battle destinies to 1. Like, we may see Batmouse just peel those 8 cards here. And there's the 6 for the first destiny. Yep, Batmouse is just going to peel because he traded his Gick for the Lord Sidious.
Which means
6
Matt
and 5
should win
is
by
14,
11.
21. Yep, that should be by 11, and the lost pile should be 42 to 24. And Batmouse just goes out on Blaze of Glory there by drawing a 1 for Battle Destiny. So he's down 16. Now he should just peel. He should not lose Zuckuss. You don't need to add that 1 card to lost pile. And Matt will win by 11, which we just discussed is certainly not insurmountable. Yeah, Batmouse knows, this is game. And I think they both played well. I think Batmouse took his foot off the gas at the wrong time, and I think Matt expertly picked his spot to take his shot and say, look, I just don't think you have it. And if you do, congratulations.
Yeah,
Like,
it
because
was
if
a
Batmouse would have had a couple
tactical lose.
characters there, it would have been very bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And Matt said plus 11, 25 and lost to 42. And I believe their rematch is on, or their game two is on Wednesday.
Wednesday, same time, same bat channel.
I was going to say, you missed a spot to be same bat time. And
Yeah, I know.
you got there on the second one. So I'll give it to you.
I
And I don't know. I think it might be you and I doing
I
that one
am
again.
on the hook
So,
again. So if you're available, I'd love to have you.
I mean, my hotel internet held up, so I'm assuming I will be available. And yeah, I would love to join you, and we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, thanks, Garrett. Everybody, if you are not aware, the February OCS kicked off 2 days ago. You can sign up month to month or for the full season pass and save 1 month's entry. Go to the forums, and the link to the store will be there to sign up. Other than that, it sounds like the next major will be sometime in April, hopefully. Waiting for details on that for everything to be finalized. And we will see you again Wednesday evening. Same time, same bat channel.
For sure. See you on Wednesday, man.
Take care.